It is another episode of Say It Loud, season 7, with your favorite podcaster, personality, and voice. Yes, I said your favorite. Me, Karen L. And today, in my behind the mic um, hot seat, is I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing your name right. Is it Dietrice?
Yep.
Dietrice Bolden.
Yep.
Dietrice has such a long and beautiful resume. We're gonna tap into all of that good stuff. But Dietrice, why don't you introduce yourself? What would you call yourself? Because I read about you and I was like, oh my God, how does one person do all of these beautiful things?
So what we coined here at Impact, which I'll speak about my youth company, is artivism. So I consider myself an artivist, someone who used the arts
Love that.
to change the community around myself and the world around me, and to impact the people in any way I can to help through the arts, through education, through community service, whatever I can do. So
That's
that's
amazing. I had never heard the word artivism, but
art.
now that I think about it, there's so many ways in art and media that we can actually use that to make change, especially now with the
Mhm.
climate that we're in.
That's
Um,
right.
let's talk a little bit about your youth program. I didn't want to start there, but let's
Oh
talk about it because I wanted to. What is the calling? When did you get a calling? When did you know? Because you have so much talent, you could have just been selfish, right? And I'm gonna do what I want to do and go where I want to go. But you made a conscious decision to take what you were doing and share it within your community. And
no.
so when did that vision come to you?
Well, let me start. I actually came up through Impact Repertory Theater as a kid. I was
Okay.
one of the first members of the company. I was born, and I say half raised, because everything I do is in Harlem.
Mhm.
And as a child, my school was in Harlem. I went to Choir Academy of Harlem. I was in the Girls Choir of Harlem. My church is in Harlem, New Mount Zion Baptist Church. Yes, I go to church. I'm still a little ratchet. God's still working on me. Everything and so I found this youth sisterhood, actually, through Menacing Townhouse in Harlem, called the Phoenix Sorority, and through Phoenix Sorority and Tapawingo Honor Society, all City Mission Society organizations back in the day. I came across Impact Repertory Theater, which was created for the young people of the community and of Menacing. So being in Impact, growing up through Impact, the Impact is where I found my voice as a young person. I was very shy. The only place I sang was church.
Mhm.
And then I got into Impact and met all these amazing people who are mostly still in my life today. One great thing about Impact is all of the staff members, past and present, came up through the company. So
Wow.
a lot of us, we come back and we just give back. And Impact has grown since 1997, which is when it started. And so Impact, I do Impact because I want the young people to have some of the same opportunities I had. I had
So let's
amazing.
talk about impact for the parents that are listening, especially for the New York parents who are right in Harlem.
Yes.
Let's talk about what impact actually does in the community and how their child could benefit from it.
Well, Impacts is an arts and leadership training organization. We do concentrate on the arts. All of the material is created or inspired by our young people. So it's our young people in the studios, our young people in the writing sessions, young people doing the choreography, drama, whatever it is. It comes from them. It's cultivated by the staff, but it's their voice. And what
Mhm.
it is allowing them to say exactly how they feel. It's a safe space. We create a safe space. There are no language barriers. Um, and we allow parents to come in a little bit more now because of the apocalypse, which has happened within the past couple of years, and stuff like that. But when I was in the company, it was no parents allowed.
Right.
That way, it gave us free range just to be who we were.
Right.
So, and in the leadership training aspect of it, our founding artistic director, who is still our executive artistic director, Jamal Joseph, is a professor at Columbia University. Uh,
Wow.
he's the past chair of the film department, also one of my mentors, one of the reasons why a lot of these doors opened for me. Former Black Panther 21, spent some
Hey.
time in prison. So he raised us as Panther Cubs. So
Right.
I'm an honorary Panther Cub. So it's all about grassroots. You know, it's not all peachy keen with, NYPD and with the government and with politics. And we
Right.
were allowed to say those things, and especially what's going on now,
Right.
allowing the young people to have that outlet instead of being violent, because they
Right.
can be,
Right.
and there's still a whole bunch of gun violence and stuff going on now. So we just try to create that outlet and activities and performances. The kids, I'll get into one our biggest achievements to date, which is our Oscar and Grammy nomination for the film August Rush. But
Wow.
those are the opportunities we were given, and I was able to give other young people. When I was in Impact, through Jamal Joseph, I got to meet wonderful people like Reggie Bythewood, and Gina Bythewood, and Ruby D, and
Wow.
Gabby Belafonte.
Those are like
So
classic names.
yes,
They're
which
classic
is,
people
and these are the people that we want our young people to continue to know.
and
We
aspire.
go back. I remember it's a story when I was in the company. They was like, "What young person knows a piece of artwork by Ramir?" I didn't even know who that was,
Yeah.
let alone seen his artwork. So we want
Right.
to expose our young people. It's just not about the hood. It is about protecting your community, though. So it's
Right.
about community service. Our young people are 20 hours of community service a month. That is part of what you have to give to Impact, because Impact is a free program. We don't
Right.
ask for any money, none of that stuff. You come in, you give with your talents and your time and willing to try new things. So, and then we sometimes, there's a stipend involved, of course, for the young people.
Mhm.
Their uniform is free. And we just, through some of the good politicians in the city, who
Yeah.
cultivate the arts and the STEAM programs in the school and Art a Catalyst for Change, we get funding to continue the program. It's still a struggle, again,
Yeah.
especially since the apocalypse.
Yeah.
And
I
money
was
is
gonna ask, how's funding like at these times right now? Are
it's
we?
hard. It's
Yeah.
very hard. Grant writing was never my forte. I'm getting the hang of it now.
Yeah.
But grant writing and just getting those donations in by people who just want to support the young people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
means a lot. That means a lot.
Yeah. And getting in front of the right people that give the money,
Right.
and then the and being an organization they want to give their money to.
22.
Right?
Right.
Because we don't
Right.
talk about that enough either. It's like they get to choose where they put their money.
That's right.
You have to make sure that you have a program that they'd want to give their money to.
Right. So, like I said, as we do focus on the arts, it's also about education.
Mhm.
And so I say we positively brainwash our kids. Positive brainwashing. It's not, are you going to school? It's where are you going to school? And what do we
Right.
have to do to get you there? So
Yeah.
through another Impact alumni, her name is Jordan Isler. She created a program going on 10 years now, Impact Rep College Prep. And so now we can bring the parents in, we can go through FAFSA, create college tours, get you in front of the right people, get you tutoring if need be. She's been amazing with that. And we've had some great graduates out of Howard and St. John's and, our historically Black
That's
colleges, like
amazing.
our SUNY and CUNY
That's
schools,
amazing.
right here in the city, because
Mm.
it's just about education. And some don't, college is just not for them. So
Right.
we help find programs or jobs that can help them live. It's
Yeah.
it's not cheap, especially here in New York.
Right. Yeah. I think it's really important also for other kids to see other kids going to college.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And how important that is. Because I know growing up in New York City, I didn't know anyone that went away to college.
Hmm.
I know like the next door neighbor went up the block to the college, but
College,
I
right.
didn't know anyone that had the opportunity to go away. And so I really think, and then now as an educator, I hear kids say things to me like, well, I'm not going to college. And I'm like, well, why not? And they're like, well, my mom just can't afford it. And I'm like,
Right.
do you know how much it costs? And they're like, no. And it's like, so how you know your mom can't afford
Mom
it?
can't
So
afford
why are
it.
you telling me that you're not going to do something
Right.
that you possibly could do? And you don't even know enough about it to make a decision.
Yeah. And because of the mentality of the world there, our kids are lazy.
Yeah.
We didn't have all this growing up, the social media and all the rest of that stuff. They've become very catered to, and they
Yes.
don't want to go out and look for scholarships and all
Right.
the stuff that can really help. So they just try to give up. So that's why we're there. That's why you're there
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
help
In
push
certain
them.
communities, you feel defeated. And if your parents don't know,
Right.
And they didn't go, like, my parents didn't go to college. So if they don't know, just becomes a cycle of kind of like not knowing that information.
Yeah.
Although in this day and age, I don't give any excuses anymore.
Right.
Because if you got a phone in your hand and you got the internet in your pocket and you could look up your sneakers and you could look up cars and you could look up videos on whatever you want to know, then
Starting
you
at
can
the
figure
age
it
of
out.
6. Right.
You can figure out how to
That's
get that
right.
application done, where to send it.
That's right.
The same way you could stalk someone, you can do what you need to do. And I think the education part is also empowering them to be like, you have all these things at your fingertips.
Right.
What are you gonna do
Right.
with it?
That's
What are you
right.
gonna do with it?
Again, that's the positive brainwashing aspect
Yeah.
of it all.
I
You
love that. I love the vocabulary that you use because I think that that's also very empowering in
Mhm.
letting children know, like, what school do you go to? Where would you like to attend versus, where are you not, and why are you not there? And speaking in with negative connotations and negative
Right.
tones. What kinds of media projects or what kind of projects are they doing when they are in the theater? Like, what does that look like for them?
Well, for example, when we were doing when it's voting time, the young people we have, Instagram and TikTok, which is the
Mhm.
big thing. So we did a piece called Casting the Vote. And they went back into history and Fannie Lou Hamer and all these rich people in history and how it came about for us to vote and the importance of us voting. So we
Right.
went right out in St. Nicholas Park.
Mhm.
We advertised for a while, put up signs and everything, and social distance, but we were out there with bullhorns signing people up to vote. We did a show, the kids performed and everything, just, gathering a crowd. And we do that around the city or whatever and try to just, to encourage people to vote. So we do that with a couple of things when we were during COVID. I'll stop calling it the apocalypse. The food fees because food got expensive and all that stuff. So the kids came to me, of course, how can we help? We know we can't be out or whatever. So we quarantined the kids and they would help pull the food into the office.
Right.
We partnered with the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce and West Harlem group assistance, and we got pantry started. So the kids through social
Wow.
media, they get parents and, don't be ashamed. We all need this stuff. Come out and,
Right.
us, the staff, we actually gave out the food, but they would help and gather the food and get the word out. So that's how they use their social media.
Wow. That's beautiful that they can be so empowered to do that and so kind. I love
Right.
people.
And
Not everybody's
that's what
kind.
touches my heart because they do come to me. They come to me when they're mad too now.
Yeah.
But they come to me when they saw the need. During COVID, we had a town hall when we invited just youth from New York City join this town hall on Zoom.
Mhm.
And we thought it was going to be about, an hour, 2 hours. It lasted 5 hours.
Wow.
Excuse me. And parents crying, the kids crying and pouring out, talking about the struggle. Some of them were just the kids by themselves because we have to realize when they go to school, that's some of their brain break from whatever's going on at home. So now that
Right.
you're quarantined in the house with the people that you're trying to actually get away from,
Right.
it's causing more damage. And then the learning online, a lot of our young people, their grades went down, which is
Yeah.
feeding to them. And especially the ones who are really trying to do what they want to need to do so they can go to college and all the stuff that we were positively brainwashing into them.
Right.
So they felt defeated.
Yeah.
And through, we have to understand through COVID, we have a lot of young people walking around with PTSD and they
Yeah.
don't even know.
Yeah.
They're just angry. They don't know. They're trying to get out of it. They get into these mood swings, so that's when the counseling comes, you
Yeah.
know, it's given. We have through First Corinthian Baptist Church, there's the Hope Center, and they have counseling and psychiatrists that young people, adults, anybody can go to. But that's just another outlet that partners with Impact and New Heritage and the Chamber. Just, keep a peace of mind for the young kids. So
That's amazing. It's almost like you can go there and kind of like fill your soul, right?
that's the
That's what
book.
it sounds like. It sounds
It
like
was
you're sending your kid there and it's like, yo, we could eat. I could come up with some new ideas and meet new friends. And there's people here for me to talk to. And when I
right.
walk away, it doesn't feel like school. It feels like I fed my soul. Like I
And
was,
that was
like
Jamal Joseph, who's our artistic director. He said he never wanted Impact to feel like the sixth day of school,
yeah,
but the first day of Impact.
right,
So
right,
that is one thing we try to keep going, even though we have implanted this education aspect in it very hard in leadership training, because we want our young people to be able to speak out for themselves, and
right.
say what they want to say. But we don't want it to be like school and these sessions and stuff like that now.
That's amazing. How many kids do you have in the program?
Well, right now our numbers are kind of really light because of everything going on. So we have like 30 to 35 young people in the company. Before that, on a Saturday, I can see 45 to 60 young people each and every Saturday.
Mhm.
Impact is every Saturday from about 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. During regular Impact time, now we just have sessions. We don't
Right.
have a regular schedule. But before COVID, we were meeting at Prentice Hall of Columbia University and the Kennedy Center, which is right on 135th Street. We have other partners with community rooms and our own impact space, which is what I'm in now.
Mhm.
Um, but this is more of an office space. So when we need, big rooms and stuff like that, Columbia and their arts program, which has been very gracious to us,
Right.
would give us their space. And the kids would meet and they'll have their training. We feed them every week. They get a meal. We black, we like to eat.
Yes.
Uh,
That makes everybody happy.
makes everybody happy.
Everybody happy when we eating.
That's right. So, and that's when they get their creative juices flowing. And through the leadership training classes that we do on current events or whatever's going on, we create artistic pieces, whether it's spoken word or a song or a dramatic piece, whatever it
What
is.
has been the biggest turn for pieces that you realize with our teenagers? Like, what are they most interested in? I would be curious to know.
Politics,
Huh?
politics, and NYPD.
Yeah, and how do they display that though? Is it the spoken word? Is
Oh
it
no,
theater? Is it
it's
photography? Is it
it's
painting?
it's all of that. It's all of
Yeah.
that mixed together, which makes us the core of the repertory company. So we have a music piece, and it's actually rap hip hop based on hip hop. It's called Politics, and the
Hmm.
kids are really just naming out everything that they see wrong.
Right.
You know, we did a show on Off Broadway at the Snapple Theater about, I want to say, 8 years ago, called Peace Warriors, and it was about how gang violence and the kids and how the police
Yeah.
infiltrate that and stuff like that. Again, Jamal
Yeah.
being part of the Panther 21, always COINTELPRO. We hate gossip. How every body who says they're good is not,
Right.
and
Right.
so that gives the kids the freedom to say so. So it could be through song, through spoken word. We have a piece called Frankenstein about how everyone always wants to put the blame on the young person, but never wants to take the responsibility of their anger.
Right.
So Frankenstein made a monster. Look what you made me, you
Right.
know, just because of you don't want to teach me, or
Right.
you don't want to be patient with me, or you're
Right.
yelling at me because I'm trying to be who I want to be. That's how they express themselves. And
That's
we have,
wonderful. That's
yeah,
wonderful because there's some hot topics out there, and
yes, especially right now,
mhm,
Memphis. That's all.
mhm,
That's all. I
mhm.
know we're gonna have some sessions. Thursday is our usual session day. We're not in session today, but we're gonna have some things come out of our young people,
Mhm,
all about
mhm,
what's going on.
mhm. And when it happened 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, we didn't have so much access
Right,
like we have now. So there would be people in other places that couldn't get this information
mhm,
and just didn't know. So we can't be loud. We couldn't vent, we couldn't understand, we couldn't
right,
see it, we couldn't visualize even if we read it somewhere, right?
right,
And now today, these same young people have all this access, right?
right.
And all this information coming in and visualizing it, right? And hearing it, right? And all of this sensory going on. And sometimes we don't give them an opportunity to say anything.
That's right. And that's what makes them angry, and that's when they start acting out and lashing out and not wanting to go to school and be the best them they can be,
Right.
because we're just not giving them that opportunity. which isn't fair, which is, again, the reason why we do what we do, because, working in nonprofit, there's no money here. Oh, that's why we do all the grant writing. But just to see what happens, one of I call her my little sister now. She was one of my students in Impact. I sang her down the aisle at her wedding and got to watch her walk across the stage when she graduated. Now she's going for her PhD. That's my motivation right there.
Yeah, you got to take all that in because that's part of your work too.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about you. Because yes, I know, you love all the young people, and you do all of these wonderful things for your community, which I absolutely love and will show up for one day. Just let me know.
Yes.
But I want to talk about how you found your way here after, I want to talk about how you got here and your wonderful career and all of the work that you have done and use your beautiful voice and all of these amazing things that, because a lot of times someone tells you what to do, like you work in theater and someone's telling you, and you're like, why didn't you do that? But you actually did it.
Well, I was afforded, and a lot of this came through Impact. I can never take that away. Through Jamal, who I've spoken about, through our executive producer and founder, Vosa Rivers. Vosa is the reason why Serafina came to the U.S.
Oh my God. I remember that. My mom wanted to go see it so bad.
So it's because of Vosa and all those wonderful actors who ended up in a different world and on the Cosby Show.
Right.
It was because of him and the coalition of African theater and American theater, him partnering and stuff like that. So I got a lot of these opportunities through Impact. I went away to school to become an attorney.
Really?
I was going to law school to go into entertainment law.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to do. I used to watch Murder, She Wrote. I was a little old lady.
At the desk, I remember. And she used to write on the paper, right?
That's it. So I watched Columbo and stuff like that.
I remember that too, with the long coat and the hat.
Right.
To be at my grandma's house. She used to have that.
And I started that journey at Delaware State University, and it just didn't turn out that way. Yeah. I ended up back home, not graduating from Del State because unfortunately my granny passed. And I didn't want to leave my mom here in the city. So I continued my education here in the city at Berkeley and at St. John's University. And I interned at a law firm and hated it.
Look at that.
And as I was doing all that, I came back and I started volunteering at Impact, just becoming a big sister, coming back to perform with the alumni and stuff like that. And everything just started building up at Impact. So then I got a title. I was like, oh, I'm the production coordinator. Check me out. And at Impact, and I was more excited about Impact than I was about my job. Right. And then I ended up working at a place with young people. And I'm not going to say the name because I didn't particularly
care for it. And that's
And it wasn't the young people, it's the politics of the job. So, and that's when we got the great opportunity to be in a film called August Rush.
Yes.
So through Jamal, he has friends, higher ups. He's an amazing director. Check him out. He's one of the reasons why I have my assistant director credits and AD credits on film and producing credits, through Vosa. He brought us this man wanted a youth choir in Harlem to sing. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. If you've seen the film August Rush, is about a little boy who is running around looking for his parents through music. Typical Impact movie. So he came and he seen us. We were actually doing a video shoot for a song for the second Tupac tribute album. Jamal was actually Tupac's godfather.
Wow.
And Anna Faney Shakur was in my life through all of that and through the life of Impact. Everyone at Impact, she has touched everybody's life. We miss her dearly. So we were doing When Your Hero Falls from Grace, which is on The Rose That Grew from Concrete 2. That video. So he came, he seen Impact, he loved it. So he brought us down to the office, and it was Jamal, our music director, Charles Mack at the time. And he was like, so this is the type of song. And we were like, no, We don't. First of all, we don't like singing other people's stuff. Let's play around with some stuff. And through all of that came out a song called "Raise It Up," and we performed the song in the film, and it got nominated for not just an Academy Award but a Grammy.
Woo!
Yes,
That's big. That is amazing.
And that's what got me away from that job.
I didn't know I could do that.
Right. So, we got, some funding in, and I kindly put in my resignation letter, and we were able to take 30 young people to perform at the Oscars in 2008 on the stage of the Kodak Theater. And I know how much it affected my life.
Right.
I know their lives were affected,
Yeah.
And it was just an amazing opportunity. We hugged Jennifer Hudson behind stage. I will never forget the moment.
Yeah. Can you imagine that though? Like you watch that on TV and you get to be there and stand there and take that in.
I look at the video on YouTube.
Into your life. Like nobody could take that away from you.
No, not at all. And we tell a story all the time, and that was the turning point for Impact. Of course, things have declined since then, or whatever. We hold that near and dear to our hearts. We actually just did a remake of the video for the song and put it out, just because we wanted to.
Right.
Celebrate that accomplishment. We celebrate the accomplishments of the young people. And these young people now are still singing the song,
Yeah.
Still ask about, they're proud about it, because we don't say that there were individual writers on the song. Impact wrote the song.
Right.
So when you're in Impact, you take the credit for what Impact has done.
Right.
So that's part of the pride that we try to, we put in our young people.
Yeah.
So they know they have something that they can brag about. Everybody likes to brag.
Yeah, that's amazing. I just think that's amazing also, just to be able to have so many people, like rooting for you and in your corner, and being able to put something like that together on that level. That's not an easy task.
No, not at all.
Right? There's a lot of people right now making music. They're not getting all the way to a Grammy.
No, they're not.
It's a lot. So to be able to put that together, and make something of it and get there, and then give those children that wonderful experience.
Yes, they got up. They had to get into wardrobe and makeup in the morning. Listen, I had to get into wardrobe. I felt like I was the,
Yeah, like my hair done. I mean, my makeup.
Yes, they got their hair
we
done.
gotta fly over there. Just going to the airport is a thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Because we had a limo bus for the young people when we got to LA. I was living my best life. So
I could get used to that. I could get used to that.
So it was great. It was a great opportunity. And again, Jamal introduced me to another wonderful actor, director, writer by the name of Daniel Beatty.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I did my first off-Broadway show. He did a show called Tearing Down the Walls, and it was produced through our theater company, New Heritage Theater Company, which is the oldest African-American theater company in America.
Wow.
And we did it at Riverside Theater, and I was there to help write music and to do auditions. And Jamal was like, you should read for the part. I said, I don't think so. I really did. I seen what the challenge was. It was great actresses in there. I've done off Broadway. One of my godmoms is Ella Mitchell. She was Eveline in The Wiz on, she's amazing.
Wait. Does she live in Midtown?
Yes.
I know her.
Yes, Ella Mitchell.
Because I know her son, who's a tap dancer, correct?
Yes, boom.
Oh, I know. Okay, whoa. I used to go to her house with Boom because he went to school with one of my best friends, and I am actually the godmother to one of his kids.
Oh my God.
Yeah, to his oldest son. And yeah, we talk all the time because we're all from Hell's Kitchen. Yes. And I used to go to her house, and she'd be singing in there
all the time.
She would be sitting in that chair, and she would just be humming and singing, and I will never like forget.
Oh my gosh, I have to call her.
Yeah. We
Yes,
used to
all
walk
the
down
time with, and so with Boom, he had friends in another organization that Impact is connected to, City Kids,
there. Right.
with
I know
Donald
them.
and
I know a
Shun and
lot of
the
that. I
whole
have
band.
students that were in City Kids,
Okay.
but I growing up was in that area because I was in Hell's Kitchen in the 52nd Street Project.
Oh,
So I'm a
right
52nd
there.
Street Project kid. So that's where my theater background came from.
Got you.
Yeah, so
So
and then
be my
occasionally we
melody.
would do some theater in Harlem, usually around Kwanzaa. That's all I remember because I was little. And we would go uptown and we would do the kind of like theater there. And I'm pretty sure if I see the dancer guy, I could tell you who he was with the long coat and the mustache. And and he always had the wooden, cane.
Uh-huh.
And we would do the show there and then go back down to Midtown.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Small
So
world.
yeah, it's a small world, but it's also so nice to see so many people with so much talent now do so many amazing things.
Yeah.
Because I follow Boom's out in LA, but I follow him still and I look at his work and I remember what he did as a kid. And then I look at, his mom, and then I look at so many people and I'm like, these programs, this goes back to what
Yeah.
you're doing. These programs are so influential in the community because I wouldn't be sitting here right now doing this with you had I not had an opportunity to be on a stage when I was 6 and 7 years old.
And exactly. Same
I
thing
wouldn't even know that it was available to me.
to me.
I wouldn't be able to write this way. I wouldn't be able to speak this way. I'm telling you.
That's right.
Um, if I did not have that, and I mean, I was baby. I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old doing that stuff. But it was so. My mother will tell you now that all of her children are really good writers, and the reason we are was because we were in theater and because we had opportunities to write and express and be creative and artist, and
That's
it's
it.
really instrumental to children. So the work that you're doing is just, especially too, schools now are not offering these programs.
No, they're not.
Let's talk
And that
about that too.
yes. So, and it was a free program, just to go into that, called Auto Catalyst for Change. It was offered to inner city schools, paid for by local politicians, which is very rare.
Right.
And some of the schools had the nerve to not want it.
Yeah.
Literally paying for our impact staff to go in and help on after school programming or even during the day programming, depending
Right.
on the schedule. And a lot of them, they just didn't want it. I'm not going to name schools, but I don't understand that. I don't understand
Right.
that. And I know everybody's into sports. Yes, we want sports. But some kids like to dance. Some kids want to
And
write, not
write and
just
sing and
right.
play guitars and
Exactly.
drums and buckets and all kinds of other
There's
stuff.
no bands in Harlem anymore. We used to
Yeah.
have at least a bugle call, or if that's
Yeah.
gone,
Or yeah, band, step teams,
that
all of
team,
those things, right, are really, really important, not just to the culture, but to the kids,
to the kids, to the
right?
kids.
And it also attaches them in some ways to culture because things are happening around them. You know what I mean? And how am I anyhow a part of this? And then when we talk about, well, not every kid is going to go to college, that's fine, that's great. But if this kid can play the piano like this,
Hello,
then let them do that.
let them do that. Let them
Let
do
them
that.
do that.
I would not have an appreciation and love for jazz had it not been for Impact. I
Yeah.
didn't. My mom, she also sang, and I kind of followed in her first steps with the singing side, not
Yeah.
theater. But I didn't know anything about jazz. We listened
Yeah.
to Patti LaBelle,
Right.
Shaka Khan, soul music, and then it was
Right.
straight gospel, Mahalia Jackson and
Yeah.
Marian Anderson and James Cleveland. Those were my worlds.
Right.
No idea about jazz, and then I came to Impact and met this wonderful little white lady who called herself through the years my white mother, Lainey Cook.
Yeah.
And was an amazing jazz singer. Unfortunately, she passed last year. Amazing jazz singer. And she would come to Impact and she would teach us. And that's when I started falling in love with Sarah Vaughan
Yeah.
and Ella Fitzgerald. And then I
Yeah.
went to the Girls Choir Harlem and really got into it.
Yeah.
The Girls Choir Harlem Choir Academy, that really brightened up my
Right. The
music.
perspective had changed then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
So if I didn't have that opportunity before, I wouldn't have cared
Yeah,
about that. What is that? You know,
yeah.
so we have to open the door up because you don't know what a young person is going to fall in love with.
Hmm.
Got to
Hmm.
give them the opportunity.
Yeah, and it's embedded in them. I really do wish more schools looked at the arts and allowed budget for the arts and allowed, kids to kind of figure out who they are and dabble in that as much as we kind of push them into the things that we want them to do,
Mm-hmm.
and give them more options. So again, the program that you have allows them to do that and makes it accessible to them every day, every Saturday, couple days a week. And so I really think that that's important. What advice would you give another artist or another person in your position that wants to either start a program or has a child that's like, I don't know if this is what I want to do, you know?
Well, as for an artist, I would say be true to whatever artist you are.
Mm.
Live through your art. Make change through your art. Let your art have meaning. Don't just do it to be famous.
Right.
That's not it. We have this whole Instagram famous stuff now and the TikToks and stuff like that. Use it to make change. You
Right.
know, um, spend time with like-minded people who pour into you and that you can pour into so that you can create a culture and then build upon that culture and get more people and let it spread like a positive virus. That's how you should use your art. I'm not saying your music should not be popular. That hip hop, is as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of hip hop this year,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
and I'm through Harlem Week in the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce. I'll be active with that. One of Harlem Week's biggest supporters is Dougie Fresh.
Right.
Got his start in Harlem, KRS-One, all that stuff. So I'm not saying your music, your art can't be popular, your painting can't be popular, your dancing can't be popular, but let it have meaning.
Right.
Let it be defined by something and not just
Okay.
popularity.
And have purpose.
Have purpose. That's
Yeah,
it.
have purpose. You need to have a purpose. Because I don't know. I think that when you have a platform and a voice, even if you don't have a platform and a voice, I think we should all be advocates of change,
Yes.
right? I think we should be all be advocates of joy. I say this all the time. So if you're doing anything with a malicious heart, then don't do it. Don't do it to yourself and don't do it to anybody else because we don't want that. We don't want that.
That's right.
And people are watching. The children are watching.
The children are watching.
The children are watching. Uh, I ask this question all the time because sometimes we are not all motivated
Mm-hmm.
to do. I don't know. I've had days in my life I wasn't motivated to do anything. Um, so what keeps you motivated in both in the work that you do here with the kids, but also in your personal life, in your career? Like, what are the things that keep you motivated most?
I think about the people whose shoulders I stand on, basically. And my mom, single mother, you
Yeah,
know, she's strong. And
mhm,
that's who I had to look at. My mom who was another mom,
yeah,
Juanita, who worked her way through graduate school to become a electronic engineer.
mhm,
So I see her push, going all the way back to my grandmother, just raising not just her children but adopting other children, which is where my love for kids come from.
yeah,
And then the people who poured into me, I want to make them proud.
yeah,
I want to make Jamal proud, Vosa proud, Lainey, Ruby D, who came to see me in my first off Broadway,
yeah.
down the walls, Harry Belafonte, who is our honorary chair of Impact, who,
Really? Oh my
yeah,
God. I saw him like 2 years ago at Lincoln Center and I was like chasing him like a crazy person.
oh no,
And
he
because I
would
was like,
probably just
Dad,
sit down
Dad.
and laugh with you
I was like,
because,
Dad, because my dad like loved, I know who he is because my dad like loves him. And I watched that Carmen movie till I was like
over and over.
blue in the face. And then when they came out with the hip hop remix, I was like,
No,
no, that's not how it went.
I was so upset.
Because the original one, and then my parents also being Caribbean, parents
Yes.
have that tied to the lineage and the work that he's done. So yeah, that's amazing.
And he came on when
Yeah,
we met him and just sat with the kids
yeah.
and told stories about,
Yeah.
the protest and using art for a purpose and going down to Memphis to
How
march with
cool
Jay.
is that though? That's like talking to somebody when I what I know of him, that's like literally talking to like someone from history,
Yes.
but they're here. Like you
Yeah.
don't have to read the book, you don't have to watch the videos, you don't have to assume what it
Right.
was like. He is literally a part of our culture and our history. And
That's
you
it.
get to have him right there in front of you
And
firsthand.
he didn't just come one time. He came and he hung out with the kids as much
Yeah.
as he could before, age took over and he got ill. And
Yeah.
even now, we perform for his birthday every year. His
Oh wow.
daughter always gives a big concert of some sort. So even when he did his concert in Atlanta, Georgia, um, we performed there. He bought Bob Marley's catalog, and he
Oh
wanted
wow.
to change some of his music into music for protests and stuff. So Impact had the opportunity to be a part of that as
That's
well.
cool. That
So
is cool. Because Bob
he
Marley,
I'm looking at a picture
I
of
could
him with the
sing all
kid.
the Bob Marley songs. I was like, Dad, he was on this way before we was on this.
That's right.
Way like if you listen to the word, granted, his my favorite Bob Marley song is a love song, but that's a whole nother story. But if you listen to the song where he's like, every time I plant a seed, they want to shoot it, they want to cut it before it grows. It's like, wow, like you was preaching to us
Right.
before we even were conscious enough to understand what you was
Understand
really
it.
like saying.
That's right.
Can you imagine that?
I shot the sheriff, stir
Yeah.
it up. You have to listen to the lyric. It is, yeah.
We in here, you're in here and you vibing, and it's just like, wait a minute, I have to sit down, I have to
Mhm.
listen to the words that this man is actually saying
Say
to
it.
me
Yeah.
because it's applicable right now, like today,
Right. Right.
February 2nd,
And that's
2023. And
that's
he recorded it back in 1975.
exactly. Exactly. And it's the bad and good thing about it that those things are still going on.
Yeah,
We have the motivation in the music from back in the day, but why do we still need that motivation in the music from back
right.
in the day,
But it's also a testament to a time capsule,
Yeah.
right? And so whatever we leave will be the time capsule, right? And the soundtrack that the next generation of children will listen to.
That's right.
So our purpose in that needs to be just as important too, right?
That's right.
When you think about it that way, you're like, oh yeah, yeah, because whatever we leave here, that's what they're gonna listen to.
That's what they're gonna listen to.
That's what they're gonna listen to. And that's what they who are some of the people you've been most influenced by?
Besides family, because a lot of
Yeah,
family. My godfather, who's also my pastor,
yeah.
uh, Reverend Dr. Carlo Washington, he influences my life daily. Even through all of my crazy and ratchetness, he still comes. So we praise God for him.
Yeah.
So my family, the young people,
Mhm.
I have amazing, strong women in my life. Irene Gandy, another blessing from Voza. She is the only African American publicist on Broadway, the
Wow.
oldest African American female publicist on Broadway, and she influences me daily. Donna Walker Kuhn, who is an attorney and activist, and I just to they influence me. Ella Mitchell,
Yeah.
she has been a big influence. She put me on a stage for the very first time. I don't even know how old I was or
Wow.
what I was doing. I just remember holding up a sign and then making me sing. I
Yeah.
didn't have a choice when it
Yeah.
came to her. So I'm looking around my office because most
I
of this.
just I'm listening to what you're saying and I'm like, do you ever feel like your voice is just a gift?
Oh, I know it's a gift, and I know it's a gift that if I don't use it properly, it can be taken away.
Yeah.
So I just make sure that I stay focused on what I'm doing, try not to get wrapped up because it's hard and it's a struggle because it's happened. I've gotten wrapped up in it before.
Yeah.
Life is not nobody's crystal stair.
Right.
You know, um,
But there's
but then
balance.
we have balance.
Right.
And then there's always those great opportunities while you're doing what you're supposed to do. Something big happens, like this photo behind me, Harlem Week 4 years ago. Impact, those are my young people. That's Janet Jackson in the middle.
Oh, wow. I
They
did see
performed with
that
her at
picture. I
Harlem
did
Week.
see that. I was like, is that
Uh-huh.
you?
So
Like
those are my babies and Janet. They performed at Harlem Week, which I now sit on the board of directors for. I was not on the board at the time. That was another blessing that opened up in my life. Harlem Week, it's a big New York festival that happens every year.
Yeah.
So this is my fourth year, my fifth year. Wow, this is my fifth year, and next year will be the 50th anniversary of Harlem Week. That
Wow.
started out as a day celebration and now has
It's a
grown.
whole week.
It's a whole week. Well, it used to be a whole month. That was the longest week ever. But since COVID,
Yeah.
we brought it back down. So that's my inspiration. Seeing the young people succeed, um, making my mother smile.
Yeah.
You know,
I love it. I love it.
looking at my students graduate from college and graduate school,
Yeah.
and I don't look like an old lady yet. So that's
No, not at all. I'm gonna let you go, but I have just one more question. You have such a beautiful resume, and for anyone who wants to go check out Dietrice, you can go to her website. She'll give you all her information in a minute. But you have such this extensive resume. You've done all of these wonderful things in your own career, singing on Broadway. You've been to the Grammys. You support young people. You are Harlem Week. We love Harlem. What do you want to do next? Like the ceiling is glass and you obviously can break it. What do you want to do next?
well, actually, I just want to continue to grow
Uh-huh.
where I am, though. I'm not
Yeah.
saying I want to. My dream is not to become world famous.
Right.
My dream is to become the executive director of something that's making change
Right.
here, and
Yeah.
not necessarily just in Harlem, but
The
in
boots,
the
yeah,
community.
yeah, boots on the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
Grassroots. But yes, I do want to elevate, continue to elevate.
Yeah.
I see a PhD one day, hopefully.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just to continue to
That's
influence the
amazing.
young
That's
people.
amazing goal. The PhD is big too. Don't
Yeah,
think.
and I used to argue with I call her my twinnie, my best friend all the time, because she was going for her PhD. I said, go to school for both of us, because it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And never say never,
I
because
know.
now,
I keep saying I'm not going to go back. And then I got into teachers college recently and I was like, that might look good. And then I'm like, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't
you
know. But then, I, like you, want to set example,
hmm
right? In the classroom for my kids. Obviously, I want them to see teachers that look like me in
yes,
Jordans and
yes,
Timberlands and wearing my hat and saying that there are teachers that look like me, that listen to the music I listen to, that
right,
walk the street I walk, that grew
right.
up in the situations that I grew up, that are teaching me now. And so, I have to be that person. And then also my own children. Because I
hmm
always said when I had kids, I don't want to tell my kids what to do and not do it.
Right, right.
So, I
That
was,
part.
I was busting my butt to get that master's degree because my daughter
And
was
a
on
lot of parents are not like
she
that.
was right behind me. I was like, no, I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
do this.
That's
But I think that's also impactful because you're setting your own standard for yourself, but people are watching and the people that love you
right,
are watching.
right.
And it's
And
not for everybody, and I
it's
respect
not. Oh,
that.
and it's hard. And I tell my young people that all the time. There are times when I want to rip my hair out. You know, yes, I sit on these boards now and advisory councils now, but it took a lot of hard work to get there. It
Yeah,
takes even more work to stay there and
right,
more work than that to grow.
right.
And it takes a lot of focus, a lot of meditation. Mine is Jesus, and
Yeah,
it takes
yeah,
a lot of prayer and faith in yourself.
right.
And there are times when you're going to want to beat up on yourself and you can't, and that's why you build community around you so someone can pour into you when you're empty.
I
You know?
love that. I love that, dear Tris. I'm so grateful that you spent this time and energy with me. I'm definitely going to reflect on what you just said about building a strong community around you because what you just said is what you've actually been able to do,
Try, and
you know?
that's what I want my young people to do, and you know, pour into yourself. Learn how to pour into your self care.
Yeah,
Self
and
care is important.
be the person that you want to be and then, build what you want around you and be around the people that are pouring into you. And I think that it's such a big deal when we sit here and we talk about our accolades. We don't
Mhm.
really talk about the people that hold us up,
Right.
right? In those weakest moments. Because we all had that day where we thought about quitting,
That's right.
you
That's
know,
right.
and that's the day that you need those people,
Those people.
you
And
know.
one of mine was, and Aunt Christine, I would just leave my house. My mother knew exactly where I was.
Right.
Having people like that in your life is a blessing. So
Yeah.
I tell my young people that all the time. Don't always push the adults away.
Right.
They're crazy. We crazy. I know that.
Yes.
But some of us actually love you through that
Right.
craziness.
Right. Oh my God, Dietrice. Thank you so much for joining me on Say It Loud podcast. Can you tell everyone where they can find you, where they can learn more about the theater, where they can send their grant money if they feel like they want to,
Yes.
a
So
donation, because we like that.
yes, so for Impact, if you go to www.impactrep theater spelled with an R-E at the end.com, you can find all things Impact Repertory Theater. If you go to www.harlemweek.com, you can find all things Dietrice with the Board of Directors of Harlem Week. You can go to Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce.com, and you'll find everything that the chamber is doing all around, not just the Harlem here, but the Harlems of the world. You can go to communityworks.com and find everything
You're quite
grassroots
popular.
and community service. So you can go to the Harlem Bomb Shelter.com. That is our spoken word organization, also founded by an alumni of Impact Repertory Theater, Luther D. Isler, and New Heritage, www.newheritagetheater.org. You can find all of those things that I mentioned on that website, and our new baby, Harlem Heritage Now, where we celebrate everything Harlem, from restaurants to fashion to community service organizations, and of course, our young people.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I will get all of this information from Deirdre's and have it on my website, on my Instagram when this goes live, so that you can tap in and learn more about it and see a way that you can possibly give back to the community, donate, network, or any of that good movement that you feel in your stomach that tell you to do it. Thank you so much, Deirdre's,
Thank you
for
for
spending this
having
time with
me.
me.
I
I
already said
appreciate
I'm
you.
going to call and use you. Harlem Week is coming this year, and the
Um,
anniversary. I know you can handle some panels for me and stuff.
yes,
I'm excited
yes,
about this relationship.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
Yes.